Hello, friends. This is another episode of the program Empire of Lies, in which we talk about manipulation and disinformation in the Russian media. America is tired. Europe is fawning. How talk shows in Moscow are rewriting transatlantic relations. The Russian political talk show Bolshaya Igra, Big Game, from August 29th once again plays out a favorite plot. The West, they say, is tired of the war and is ready to surrender Ukraine. The latest broadcasts are full of discussions about Washington wavering between the role of arbitrator and direct ally of Kyiv. And Europe, humiliated and dependent, is supposedly ready to do anything to keep Trump's attention. Peace at any cost or distancing. Two versions of the American strategy are voiced on the talk show. The first, Donald Trump wants to end the war as quickly as possible, at any cost, including territorial concessions by Kyiv. The second, the White House is supposedly ready to step aside altogether, leaving the matter of the deal to Moscow and Kyiv. In support of this, they cite signals from Trump's entourage and the words of his press secretary, Caroline Levitt. Supposedly, the president is irritated by Zelensky and the Europeans, who are putting forward unrealistic demands. The line is simple. America is tired. Europe is demanding the impossible, which means a compromise must be on Russia's terms. Europe in the role of a vassal. The propaganda pays special attention to the humiliation of Europe. The presenters insist the Europeans fawn before Trump like slaves before the Persian king, agree to enslaving trade conditions, 15% US tariffs versus zero tariffs for the EU, promise to increase defense spending to 5% of GDP. And all this for the sake of American mercy. Caricatures are also used. The president of Portugal allegedly called Trump a Soviet agent, while Moscow interprets this not as criticism, but as confirmation. The United States has moved from biased support for Kyiv to arbitration in the conflict. That is, it is assumed that the United States has enough and in excess of these ERAM missiles, which cannot be said about Patriots, Atacamas, and so on. What is your assessment? It is important to understand that this is a new munition, which should only pass all tests by the end of this year. And starting in 2026, according to the plans that our guys were able to pull out of the archives of the US Department of Defense, it will begin to be produced and supplied to Ukraine. What is it? It is something like Storm Shadow or the American Jason missile, with a range of 500 kilometers, but very cheap. That is, a very cheap guidance system. In fact, it is a gliding bomb with a small engine that allows it to reach this range. But again, as I already said, they must be produced. That is, it will be produced. And the volumes that the Raytheon company declares are 600 to 800 items per year. So about 3,350 in some short period of time. Is this Kyiv's wish list? No, they kind of said that they really need it, because it turns out they will be able to use this munition without entering the coverage area of our air defense. They learned to remake it on the basis of any aircraft and launch them, because Storm Shadow and Scalp are gone. Germany did not transfer the Taurus. The Americans did not give their missiles either. French glide bombs have an extremely low Hummer, the so-called range. So this is a very high risk, and this munition could fill this niche. But as I already said, they will only start producing it. Therefore, yes, we will indeed see some quantity, 50 to 100 pieces, and this is a threat. Some of them will hit. Playing with missiles of the future. An interesting element is the discussion of arms supplies. Russian commentators simultaneously admit that the US continues to sell weapons via Europe and with a 10% markup, and then immediately devalue these deals. The new ERAM missiles are presented as a threat, but with the caveat that they will only appear en masse in a few years. Thus, the viewer is convinced that the West is still late and Ukraine will remain unarmed. You had the program Empire of Lies with you. See you soon.